didn't we? And you left the
Yeah.
battlefield, escaped the battlefield, really. Saw some characters there wandering about.
Fought a dog.
Avoided any. Yeah, oh, yeah, you got bitten by. Oh, no, that was another dog that bit you.
Dogs are not. Yeah, Jens does not like dogs now. He's a cat guy now.
I think maybe that there's a new name in there somewhere, Brian.
Cat dad.
And you. and you. Yeah, you escaped the battlefield, despite the fact it was quite a dangerous place, actually. And then you struck out. Jens is good at finding his way places, and you struck out southeast, hopefully back to the moorings where Hardrada's ships were, where the ship that you came on was. And you cut across country. I think you, at one stage, you met some locals. At another stage, you actually went into a village looking for food, and you discovered that they were some of the people there were sheltering a Norwegian warrior who'd been injured.
Mm-hmm.
He entrusted you with a message for his father, didn't he, in Norway?
Mm-hmm.
And you travelled on. I think it was after that you met some English people in a narrow lane, and because you picked up an English helmet and an English shield, you kind of bluffed your way past them.
Using my crappy English, just learned
I
English.
think I think you just said "pretty girl" and like it was a password, and left them uncertain. But you walked past them, and then I think, short of food and water, you encountered some woodsmen in a big area of woodland. I think that was where you were bitten by the dog. And they took you to,
It was my
they took you to their house.
fiendish plot to, if I let the dog bite me, they'll help me, because I was on my last legs. I remember.
Yeah, and these people are Norse English, Northumbrian Norse, and they figured out you're a Norwegian soldier, and they took you to their cottage, one of their humble little cottages in the woods, and they started to bandage you up, right?
They bandaged me up. I gifted my helmet to the boy that of the house.
That's
that
right. Yeah. I have
that's it.
Cool. Nils was the woodsman, and
the boy, you mean?
And no, I think Nils was the son, maybe Nils was his father, I think, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I can't remember which one it was, but anyway, let's say Nils was the man of the house who instructed his son to take you back to their cottage, where you are bandaged, washed. The wound is washed, and you are bandaged. And I think it's probably fair to say that the women of the house and the younger children who are there are quite wide-eyed, pay you a lot of attention as soon as they figure out you're a Norwegian and you came with Hardrada. And also they are obviously struck by how dirty you are, right? How filthy you are and how tired you look. I think that would clearly be the case, right?
For sure.
So why don't we work out what the weather's doing outside? I think you must have arrived there in the morning. So let's figure out what the weather's doing outside in the afternoon, after you've been bandaged and you've been given some broth and some bread. So if you could roll me a d6, we'll find out what the weather's doing.
Sorry. 1.
Okay. So I think the weather takes a turn for the autumnal, right? It's cold. It suddenly turns quite cold, and I think the woodsman, sensing a change in the weather, come in a little bit before dark, and it turns wet and windy, really wet and windy, like a horrible northeasterly wind driving horizontal rain in front of it. And you can see this through the door as they come in. And I think more people than properly belong to this household, because there are several households that live here, more people than properly belong to this household come through the door and gather around the fire, and they're hoping to get news, or a story or something from you, because they spend their lives in what for Jens would be a very small area, right? They're properly parochial people who've probably heard of Hardrada, heard there was a big battle, but nothing else, no details really.
Yeah. Do I get any sense like they're probably not necessarily fearful of me, right? Like just more curious, I would think, right? Is that true?
That's absolutely true. They don't seem fearful. Perhaps they're fearful of the news you might bring, because obviously the thing about Northumbria being full of Norse people, right? Full of people who are Scandinavian, really, and a big Norwegian army coming, and there having been a battle. In a sense, they feel vulnerable. They feel like I'm sure they would feel like there's a risk that they may suddenly not be as welcome or as likely to go on living in peace here as they have been. So news is important to them,
Yeah, it's a good call, because if they'd won the battle, it's probably better for them. But if they lost it, it's probably okay for them either way, I would think. But
well, yeah, but they're uncertain. I mean, sure, if Hardrada had won, when Hardrada beat the Northern Earls and they surrendered and gave him hostages, everything was kind of okay. The Norwegian king is in charge now. And had Hardrada won, then their situation would have been fine. The Harold, the English king won, might present them with a problem, but they don't really know yet what happened. What they know is a soldier who's obviously survived, fled a battle, has arrived on their, by their hearth, and they're looking for something from you. Could be just a word about what happened, or it could be a story in that kind of tradition. But they're obviously waiting. The adults are sort of clinging on to their mother's hands, or sorry, the children are clinging onto the adults' hands, their mother's hands, or the adults are kind of just looking and waiting, not staring, not wanting to be rude, but waiting for you to say something.
Yeah, and I'm probably just like, I'm probably sitting at the table, like still desperate for sleep, probably, right? Or maybe I've been nodding off, and they've given me, some tea or something.
You've been given food, so I think if you're tired, the woman of the house, whose name is Astrid, she is quite stern with them and says, "Now, if you have any questions for our guest, ask him. He's tired. He must sleep." And I think one of the men says, his name is Gully, and Gully says, "What happened? What happened in the battle?"
Yeah, Jens would, right. They're probably looking at him because he looks like shit, right?
Yeah. He looks a bit better. I imagine that. Imagine that when they were washing his wounds, one of the old women probably wiped his face. But yeah, he looks like shit. He's pale and hungry, and
Yeah, so maybe no more dried blood on his face, and maybe a clean face. Yeah, like clean, right? Like clean body parts, but dirt, clothes, gross.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Probably like, ripped pants for the dog. So yeah, he would tell them, you can probably tell by my appearance that it didn't go well for our side.
Yeah.
Myself,
They look.
yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go on, Brian.
Well, he would
They
say
look at one
like,
another.
yeah, you go.
They look at one another worriedly and wait for details.
Yeah, and he said, and Jens would say, the battle was hard fought. You did say that it wouldn't. There probably would have been enough people where maybe did Jens see Hardrada fall, or did he just hear about it?
I think he saw it, right? I think he saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It is probably one of those things, right? Like, and he would say something like, I escaped with fewer wounds than the dog that just gave me.
Yeah.
But would they have called him the king, or?
But
Right,
no,
like,
the king. So the king for them would be, this man Harold Godwinson.
yeah, because he's the current
But
king. So
yeah, but only since like last year and under somewhat dubious circumstances. So probably for them, the Northern Earls, would be the most important figures. But I think the talk of Hardrada falling, because he is a man of legend, a
yeah,
huge warrior who has
yeah.
done all these things.
I was looking for like what would they have called them just for fun, but like we don't know, probably, right? Like,
Oh well, I mean, I think what they might have called him, they would probably just have called him Hardrada.
yeah, almost certainly, yeah, and he would mention, I saw Hardrada take an arrow to the neck. Was it? I think it was neck.
Okay, so yeah, I think that prompts them. Astrid, we are going to say, is Nils's wife.
Mm-hmm.
That prompts a question. They ask you about Hardrada, like whether you ever met him. Were all the stories true? Was he 7 feet tall? And how could an arrow kill him when we've heard all these things? Because these guys have never been in a battle, right? And to them, Hardrada is a hero straight out of the ancient tales. It's like, how could an arrow kill Hardrada? How could he fall? I don't know whether Jens has got anything to say about that, or whether he just feels crowded by the questions. It's up to you.
I think he would have been certainly proud to be on, to be commanded by him, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, and he probably, because Hardrada was quite tall, doubtful 7 feet, but
yeah.
And yeah, he would say something like, if they literally say 7 feet or whatever, it would. He would say
they do, yeah. They absolutely do. Like,
he probably would just ignore that.
A young boy.
Yeah, and he would say he was a large man, and I saw many men fall that day, and he was just one of them.
So that they nod and they listen, and I think eventually Astrid is, and I guess Jens probably wouldn't open up and tell like a saga type tale. Eventually, Astrid says, "Our guest is tired. He will doubtless talk more before he leaves." But you do get one piece of news out of this crowded room, which is that I think there's an old guy there called Ulfric, and Ulfric says that he saw from the basically the edge of the woods. He saw men heading south yesterday, moving fast, and he says, I heard before, and then he talks about that length of time ago that would correspond to when the fleet arrived, like before the Battle of Fulford Gate. And he says, I heard that there were hundreds of ships moored down on the estuary. They must have been heading to the ships, but they will have got there and left by now. So if you and Ulfric says, if your plan is to catch one of the ships, you will have to leave and hope that you meet up with some of your comrades there soon.
Yeah, and Jens would say that, that's the plan.
Enough.
I can't do it.
Enough.
But I can't do it tonight, right? Like,
no.
I will leave as soon as I can in the morning. And he would thank Astrid and Nils for their hospitality and like be very gracious. I'd be happy to tell you anything I know.
Okay, cool.
But
they
first,
have questions.
Yeah. He would try to use the just in case. He feels pretty safe, I think, here, but like putting off the knowledge guarantees that they don't kill him in his sleep.
Yeah, so I think Astrid ushers people out, and they set you up with a place to sleep, not a bed, but effectively a bedroll. By the
fire in the corner, for sure.
Yeah. And I think at the course of the conversation, you are fed, and they have ale. And in the course of the conversation, their notion of geography becomes very vague beyond a few miles.
Sure.
But in the course of the conversation, they do talk about other people from Norway who speak with your accent, and they know that some of them go down to the estuary, land at the estuary, and trade from there. But they know of a town to the north, a place called Scarborough, and they say a lot of Norwegians trade from Scarborough across the sea. So if you can't find the ships, Nils says at one stage, then perhaps Scarborough might be the place to try. Afterwards, if all of your comrades have left, then perhaps try to get to Scarborough. And Astrid looks at him like, Scarborough, he might as well be saying, Rome or somewhere. But that's Nils's best plan if all the ships have gone, is that you try to get to Scarborough. Yeah, the children watch you, the dogs watch you, and then eventually people drift off to sleep. And I would guess Jens sleeps very well in front of the fire.
Oh, yeah. This is probably the best accommodations he's had for a month.
Yeah, I'd have thought so, yeah.
Something along those lines. Because, are we saying that Jens didn't come on the 200 plus ships, but he?
No, Jens did. Jens did.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, he wouldn't mention anything. He's tired. He's ready to sleep and figure it all out later, because that would have just carried the conversation on.
Yeah. So with morning, there's breakfast, and and people looking at you curiously again, and okay, so we'll have another weather roll and see if it's changed at all, Brian. Another D6.
6.
Nice. So that if you travelled on in that cold, wet, and windy weather, it probably could have killed you. You could easily just have ended up exhausted, lying in a ditch somewhere. But that next day, not only is your stomach full, not only are you feeling clear-headed, but the day is sunny, bright, and windy. So the wind is blowing the high clouds across the sky. Seems like a good omen to travel under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I probably, I'm probably one of the first up or whatever. Probably not. It's probably the lady of the house. But I'd be probably testing out that leg to see how it feels.
Yeah. I think we determined last time that it's going to be a bit sore, but it's not. It's not. Probably if you're forced to run, you might make the dog bite bleed again, but it's not really debilitating.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and he feels like cool. If he gets some food and any water he can get,
Yep. Yep.
uh, he'd be curious about how far it is, but they probably know, right? Like,
Yeah. So the old guy Ulfric will say will say you can probably be at the shores of the estuary by the end of today if you're lucky and you make good time.
mm. Yeah, and he'd ask about like paths or what's the yada yada yada. What's the best? Is there any? Is there a better route?
Ulfric can take you. I mean, we could cut to Ulfric. Everyone says goodbye, and they're all very nice. And Ulfric takes you through the woods and puts you on a track, which he says he has on occasion met people from Norway coming north on. So it's probably about 2 miles from where they live, and he
Mm-hmm.
walks with you all the way. He's not a talkative old man, but he does point out things things that the way he recognizes the paths through his home and what his people do. And he takes you to this trackway, which is big enough for a wagon to go along. Well, it doesn't look like wagons go along it very often. But he says if you
Right.
follow this south, it'll take sure as anything, it'll take you to the waters of the estuary.
Fantastic. Yeah, because this is the kind of, I mean, this is clearly something that there's zero chance Jens gets lost if he sticks to this path, right? Because so you're
Yeah.
probably, it sounds like you're saying like wagons have come, but like it's over. There's still grass, but you can easily find like the wedges or like the
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, the ruts.
Yen, yeah, you can find the ruts from previous seasons, and Jens
Mm-hmm.
has an eye for these things, I think. So he can tell
Yeah.
that um, he's got guide, hasn't he? I think so. He can
Mm-hmm.
tell quite readily that horses have been up and down here relatively recently. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, now
But the
that
rain,
probably
right? That sort of thing. We had it's been
yeah,
wet.
yeah, yeah.
But
It's
still.
not overly it's not overly muddy. Horses have been up and down here. I think Jens would notice that horses have been up and down here in the last couple of days. Now
Mm-hmm.
that could well mean English soldiers.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Norse didn't have cavalry, I assume, right?
there was no the stories say that 300 ships came with about 6,000 men. So you're talking about small ships, 25
Yeah,
Norwegians a ship. Cavalry would have been if there were
not a
any if
thing.
any horse totally if any horses came they would have been used for scouting like a few weeks ago
Yeah,
before the battle, a couple of weeks ago before the battle.
cool.
So what do you do?
Yeah. So, and yeah, he would have been thanking Ulrich. Um, like you said, he's not super talkative, but he would have answered any questions along the route.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I
He
thank
pats
him
you on the
and
he pats yeah
huh?
cool he pats you
Say
on the
again?
shoulder.
Yeah.
He pats you on the shoulder. Yeah.
Cool. And and I pat, do the thank you shoulder thing. I don't know if we shake. Um, and I'm off. Like I'm trying to really test this leg now. It was probably, he's an older guy, maybe, like I was just warming up and it felt pretty good. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be trying to make some haste, right? Like, and you know,
Okay,
almost a
let's have
forced
a
march kind of vibe. Just while
nice.
right, like anything that I can see,
Okay,
while I'm
cool.
alone.
Okay, well, let's have a d6 for the first half of the day. We've established that it's sunny and bright.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I got a 3.
yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I think um, by about midday, your leg is a bit sore with the pace you've been keeping up, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing worse than that. You've seen seagulls in on freshly ploughed fields, or on, I guess it's a bit early for ploughing, but on fields which have been harvested from. You've seen seagulls, and you figure the estuary can't be that far. Um, a good afternoon would get you there, but I think you feel like you're going to be a bit slower as things go after forced marching in the morning. Your calf is sore from the bite. Maybe there's a little bit of blood running from it, but not, it's not life threatening, but um, yeah, it's not comfy.
Yep. Yeah, and they probably gave me like a crust of bread or something, right? Like, and I'm probably I stop, eat, check the wound,
Yeah,
notice that
yeah.
yeah, I can see where like, right, like it's a couple of dots. Um, and but yeah, so I'd probably just remain at as fast a pace as I can without running.
Okay.
But I just really wanted to
I think
kind of make a good start, right? Like,
yes. Well, you've done that. You made a good start. You have a
mm-hmm,
kind of a choice. I think at that point, middle of the day, you could try and rebandage. We don't know whether Jens has any skill in that department, or you could just hasten on. If you want to have a go at rebandaging, then you can have a roll.
I think soldier. You know, I think he'll just try to trudge through it, right? Like, try to
Nice.
keep it
Okay.
dry,
Cool.
whatever. Like, yeah, like maybe kick his head, rest for 10 minutes, kick his heels up on a tree, right? Like, get
Yeah. Yeah.
elevation, because he would probably know that makes it feel better, or has been told that. I'm sure he's had wounds before. Um, eat whatever he has, just kind of like, cool, that's enough, I gotta go. Let's see if I can make these
Nice.
shots.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I think we'll have another d6 for the afternoon as you travel on. The sun is still shining. It's fresh, right?
Yep, I rolled a 2. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and
So
he's just trying to put the pain out of his. He's not even thinking about the leg, right? Like, uh, but he's also not trying to test it anymore. He was trying to test it earlier.
okay. Okay. Cool. So a two fits. I think as the autumn afternoon turns to dusk and evening, you see momentarily the setting sun cast an orange light, like an orange ribbon of light down the length of the estuary, which
Mm-hmm.
runs east west. And I think um, you probably catch sight of vessels on the estuary or along the shore of the estuary.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still a little bit higher than the water. You've got a ways to go to get to the water's edge by dark. Um, but given what you said about not pushing the wound, I think you are just fatigued again. You just have
Mm-hmm.
general fatigue. So we won't say the wound is any worse, but you are fatigued. So
For sure.
you can make a note of that if you like. It may become important, but you feel like that hearth and that breakfast and that night's rest,
Are gone.
they could have been, yeah,
They're
they could have been a
spent.
decade ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
you've spent
totally.
those and more and more. But there are definitely vessels down there. You can see the masts. The sun is setting. This track that Ulfric put you on carries on, right? It leads all the way down in that direction. But just in the very last of the daylight, you get to a crossroads. So there's a road that runs east-west across this north-south track, and
Mm-hmm.
it looks to have been busy, and recently,
Mm.
judging by the tracks.
Hmm. And so, uh, the choice is continue on the path I'm on, or take the more traveled path.
Yeah, and the more traveled path looks to have been crisscrossed by men on foot and horses.
Mm.
I think probably away to the east, you can see the lights of a large settlement being lit. But you know what it's like trying to judge distance at dusk in a
Yeah.
landscape you don't know. That's a long way probably, but it's down the estuary. Whereas this track that Ulfric put you on seems to lead straight to a place where you can see vessels. The vessels are still moored there. Some are.
Yeah. So I see the east west road has a lot of traffic. Does the road I'm on have a lot of traffic? It seems not, right? Or does it seem like
And you, yeah,
any traffic that I have seen, the horses, did they turn onto this road, this east west road
yeah, I think
path?
you've got your a bit of a shortage of daylight to determine exactly, but actually it looks like this north south, the track that you've been following gets busier to the south of this main way. So
That makes
people have
sense.
actually been turning, yeah, people have actually been turning down that way in the last day or two.
Mm. But I still haven't seen anyone on this
No,
path
it's been
thus
a,
far.
it's no. I mean, I think we have to imagine a landscape with lots of small villages and hamlets and even some isolated farmsteads.
Yeah,
So Jens will have seen people. The land is relatively full of people. Sometimes he would have been following a track through quite wild woodlands, the kind of places where Jens would think, okay, there are definitely wild boar here. There may even be wolves. But most of the time, he could probably at any time stick his head over a hedge and see a village or a hamlet and see someone standing out in a field, right?
yeah, totally.
But on,
And he would
yeah,
have,
but on,
yeah, and probably would have let any, probably would have stayed hidden if he had heard anything for a minute, right? Like
yeah,
just kind of like
yeah,
trying to go quiet. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
And with the recent rainfall, at least everything is probably a little squishy and not making a lot of noise. So that's cool.
yeah, yeah. I
But
think you
yeah, I
get the
can see
sense
it.
that you,
I
yeah,
can see like looking over a hedge and seeing like, yeah, someone working in a field. You know, I can probably smell the smoke of a fire somewhere.
oh
Those
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things.
Smelling the wood smoke is very common, right? So settlements even a mile away, you'd smell the wood smoke from their fires.
Yeah, totally.
I, I, I think Jens will have the sense that if this road has been, if this way that he's been following has been busy recently, now whatever busyness there is has passed on somewhere else. And when you get to this main road, you're thinking, wow, okay, there's been some traffic and it seems to be focused on the estuary, which
Mm.
would make sense for a couple of reasons. You know that the remnants of Hardrada's army must have come this way, maybe in dribs and drabs, but you also know probably the English would have been interested in that retreat, for their own
Hmm.
reasons.
Totally. Yeah, and it's he's probably thinking to himself, I really couldn't have timed this better. Maybe, assuming that I can get on a boat.
Yep, yep, maybe. And
Um,
so, yeah, the sun is
yeah,
setting in the west, and you're tired.
yeah, and I think I stick to the old man's road. Uh, feeling
Okay.
like it did me well. It got me here with zero issue. Uh, Solid. It's been solid. Let's double down and keep to the keep to this road at least.
Nice. Okay. So, you have that thing where you have the last rays of the sun, and then you have a grey dusk where the mostly clear sky that's been bright all day has that kind of luminescence about it, which slowly fades. And it's still fading as you come down to what um, is clearly a landing ground. Now, this doesn't mean it was the landing ground that you came ashore at, because there were 300 ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is definitely a landing ground. And I think I'd like you to roll a d6 and we'll find out what's happening at this landing ground as you come to the edge of kind of an area of trees.
Cool. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
standing next to
Yeah.
the tree. I rolled a 2.
Okay, nice. So, yeah, there are yeah. Okay, so the sky's still luminescent. The sun is setting in as set in the west some time ago. You're just at that moment where you think, okay, everything's going to get really dark soon, and thankfully, there's a thin sliver of moon rising and some stars, and suddenly everything is lit up down on the landing ground, and you see that a group of men have just set fire to a ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ship goes up really quite quickly, like they've found some tar or some oil on board. And so the mast goes up like a tree that's been struck by lightning. And they jump to shore or come down a gangplank, well, both really. Some of them come down a gangplank, some of them jump to shore not without getting wet feet. And they've got a pile of stuff that they have been taking off ships. And um, there are 4 ships at this small landing ground, so it's just a little a little reed edged bay and tree edged bay along the estuary. And what they seem to have done is they've taken advantage of the fact these ships were lashed together, and they've set fire to one in the middle of the 4 after having looted them. And they've got a
Mm-hmm.
big pile of stuff, including sailcloth and rope. And they've taken the planks off the rowing benches, and and now they're burning these Norwegian ships. You notice another thing amongst the mob of maybe 2 dozen men.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They do have weapons, but a couple of them have spears. A lot of the weapons look improvised farm weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice that sitting, apparently hands and feet tied, by the loot, there are 5, well, I think you would immediately think Norwegian sailors. Not that you'd be able
Mm-hmm.
to tell by anything other than their demeanor and their imprisoned, status. But yeah, so these English men, who clearly aren't soldiers by and large, at least they're not armored. You can't see any shields, or maybe 1 or 2 shields, old shields taken down off the wall. They've come
Mm-hmm.
down to profit. They've come down to profit, and they're looting. They've looted these boats, set them alight. They got themselves 5 prisoners and a pile of gear.
Cool. Yeah, I would immediately. I mean, obviously, you're thinking, well, they're the men are probably the big prize here, right? Like slaves.
Yeah,
Right?
that will
That'd be classic.
probably that. Yeah, I mean, to whether they would be slaves or whether they would be handed over to the Earl as a kind of hoping for a reward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to stress at this stage, Brian, that Jens is obviously aware that this is only one tiny portion of where the ships were moored, right?
Yeah, totally.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah. So the question is, are the men like excited about the burning? Are they concentrating that? Are there people? Is there an opportunity to free the sailors?
Yeah, I think they are mostly now celebrating their burning of Norwegian ships in a very kind of,
Sorry,
macho
I have a. That's my
glory.
phone. One sec. Shut up,
Yeah, no
phone.
worries.
There. Say again.
They're very, I mean, obviously, right? They've come down here and they're being big, brave men. They didn't have to
Yeah,
fight
yeah,
Hardrada,
yeah.
right? So now
Exactly.
they, so now they're celebrating burning the boats. I think it's fair to say that none of them are paying very much attention to these tired Norwegian sailors right now.
Mm-hmm.
That could change at any moment, right? But the pile of loot and the Norwegian soldiers have been brought back from the bank. They don't want to burn the stuff they just nicked, right? So probably halfway between you and the shore, there's the pile of loot and the prisoners, and the men are standing much closer to the shore in that red orange glow of the fires they've set.
Totally. So I'm gonna like kind of take my temperature, as it were. I'm fatigued, but I probably feel okay. I've got a sword, and am a swordsman. Um, I probably feel like I could try to sneak up and just cut these guys loose. Um, because hey, more people is probably better, right? Like I
Okay.
don't know what's going on here. And if I have an opportunity to free them, maybe A, I
Yeah.
have information. B, I have, but like probably gonna be running rather than fighting, because 6 against 20ish, not great
Yeah.
odds.
Yeah. Oh,
Plus, farm
okay. Well,
strong. Farmers are not sissies. That's for sure.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So, I think there's a role here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jens would imagine this could be anywhere between super successful and you just sneak off into the dark, or um, horribly catastrophic and you have to use your sword.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a DC.
Oh shit! I
Okay.
rolled a 6.
Yeah. So I think that's looking like, two skulls is looking like, uh, you're going to have to kill a couple of them as they try to stop you getting away into the trees.
Mm-hmm.
The way you narrate it, you can narrate it a little bit. I mean, you tell us how you sneak up and what have you. But I think at two skulls, you're probably going to have to do a bit of handiwork with your sword to get away.
Yeah,
You
totally.
do get a
So
reroll.
yeah. So yeah, I'm like right, like cautiously. I'm trying to be in the shadows of right, like, and sneak up to the men. Right, like these guys are excited, but also like curious. Like they see soldiers behind them. They have a little bit of fear, and like I'm probably right behind one, right about to cut the first one free. When they spot me and they're running towards me, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think probably what it makes sense if there were actually a couple of them standing on the other side of the pile of loot, which, who you didn't see. But you can buy a reroll, if
Mm-hmm.
you have an appropriate name, or you want to lean into an emotion.
I think insightful would. So like I see all this going on. I can picture it in my head. I'm probably I would I would probably say something to one of them. Um, like in Norse, saying like fancy a run.
To one of the prisoners.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let's have. Yeah, insightful is a good call. I think that'll buy you a reroll.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, and it's a 3.
And it's a 3. Yeah. Okay. So I think if it makes sense to you, Brian, you get up to this guy and you say, "Ready for a run," and you can see on the other side of the pile of loot, big sailcloths that have been brought down, and the timbers and provisions and all sorts of things. There are shields and spare weapons. Um, and you can see two of the Englishmen are guarding this pile, and they have shields and swords. They look the most soldierly of the whole bunch.
Yeah.
And the Norwegian you're cutting free, he nods, and as soon as you've got him free, he starts freeing the others. And what's the plan? Head into the woods, or
I mean,
what are you
yeah, for
thinking?
me, I would try to, right, like I would try to kind of position myself between the dudes with the guarding dudes. Would I be trying to look right? Like I'd be trying to look like I know what the fuck I'm doing, right? Like I'd pull the sword, maybe even like, uh, not like just saying like you can have a little of this, but we're just gonna get the fuck out of here, right? Like, and maybe
Nice.
and try to be the caboose while they're all running into the night.
Nice. Well, I think with that result and your insightful appreciation of the situation, you guys scamper off into the darkness. With the worst you get probably is some scratches from thorns as you get away into the underbrush,
Mm-hmm.
and um, you now have with you this guy. The first guy you cut was also their kind of they're the senior one amongst them, and so we're going to call them Fangbrand's crewmen. There they are in chat.
Cool. Cool.
Nice. Yeah. So you know that there's a kind of there's a time pressure now, because as soon as the bulk of those Englishmen turn around from the beautiful burning ships, they're going to notice their prisoners have got away. Fangbrand says to you, in the first of hopefully many useful interventions, he says, "There's another landing ground just along here, and several after it. We could try to reach them and see what's happening there."
Absolutely. Yeah, and Jens would be, yeah, let's, I mean, just like, do I recognize his like accent or anything? Does it just that little back and forth give me any info?
He's Norwegian. He's not from especially close to where you come from. Um, sort of imagine someone from halfway across the country rather than someone from your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
He's not especially a young man. He's probably in his 30s, which would make him an experienced sailor. Um, and you know that when the ships were left here, they were left with crews, skeleton crews, not enough to sail them, but people to look after them and keep them, keep them safe. In that was the idea.
Yeah, they're not soldiers; they're sailors. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can imagine Fangbrand's crewmen as not soldiers, but definitely pretty hard men.
Oh yeah, very
Um,
hard because like, left
yeah, yeah,
holding the bag, right? Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I'd probably look at them and I wouldn't even mention that I'm wounded, probably because I'm like they don't look any better off. None of us have any food or water, probably any left, right? Like,
Yeah,
or I have a
yeah,
swig. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, so
Their first, yeah.
we're we're just like staying low, staying quiet, and running, right?
Okay, so you're with 5 escapees now essentially, and
Mm-hmm.
you're following the coast line. Fangbrand has suggested you head east. which is in the direction of the sea, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think it breathlessly as you run, he will say to you that he saw some ships leave, but he and his mates here were waiting to see who came back. Um, when the English descended on them, in numbers, more than they could successfully fight. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like a fight. It seems like a fight took place, but the English were intent upon capturing rather than killing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have another d6 for the next landing ground. Your going is becoming harder because of the darkness, but it does mean that the English would struggle to chase you.
Yeah, are we
Fine.
running on sand exactly?
No, it's more like grass and reeds go right the way
Yeah.
down to the water. You're
Yep.
that high up the estuary that it's going to be brackish, but it won't be completely seawater.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Sadly, I
Okay.
rolled a 5.
Yeah, no, a five's good on this table, Brian. It's one of my tables. Don't forget.
Oh, this is a table, not
Um,
I'm not rolling random
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Gotcha.
No, 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 not yeah. Okay, so yeah. Are you at the front?
I think I'd depending on how I'm tired, right? Like so
Yeah.
and wounded, and I'm armed, so I might be at the back unless they right like it made sense for me to be at the front, because I was protecting our rear but if it
Yes, you
seemed like
were. Yeah.
no one's after us from behind, then yeah, I might go first because I'm armed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so when it seems like no one's following you, you and Fangbrand slowly move to the front. So at
Did
one
I have
point,
did
you
I have a spear with me? I can't remember. Did I give that spear away?
I think
I,
you kept your father's sword.
yeah, I kept the sword. I remember picking up a spear, but I may have hucked it or gave it to somebody. Oh,
Oh,
I probably
the
gave it to the kid, the other soldier.
yes, I think you did. You left it with
Yeah,
him, didn't you?
cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I would
Okay.
give it
Um,
to Thangbrand.
yeah, and
But yeah,
Fangbrand.
I've got nothing.
No, yeah, okay, no worries. So you burst through a thicket, a thorny thicket, which seems to be doing its best to keep you in England, to be honest, and you're kind of
Mm,
struggling through. And you
mm-hmm.
burst through the edge of it and into a clearing, barely moonlit, and you're right up close to someone, right up close to a man who is holding a spear. There are several others here as the rest of Fangbrand's crewmen come bursting out of the thicket. And you got two choices. Immediately, you face two choices. Do you try to talk or do you want to fight?
Mm-hmm. Um, Holding a spear. Um, I think I
He
would
doesn't look like
probably, huh?
he doesn't look like he's got a helmet on.
Yeah. Um, I would probably talk. If I, it's the kind of thing like I'm right up against him. I almost hit him and just kind of
Yeah,
back off.
yeah.
And
Like yeah, he stood up. He stood up and like turned to face you, and he's just as surprised as you are.
um, and I would say something in Norse like, uh, does he like? Is there any feature about him that I notice?
Not in this light.
Okay, yeah. I'm just looking for something to say. Really, I'd be like, I I might say something like, "Is that spear for me or for someone else?"
Okay, so he immediately lets go his left hand on the half of the spear and puts it up towards your mouth in the darkness, and he
Hmm.
says, and he says, "Hush, they will hear us."
And I do. Yeah. So and that's in Norse, I imagine.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Um, And so I'm like, and so I do the international shush sign because why not? Um,
Yeah.
and beckon the other five to come through as quietly as they can.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think the guy you just met beckons you forward. Fangbrand's crewmen, who are basically with you now, stand back a little way, and he beckons you forward under a hawthorn tree, and he points a sort of a stunted estuary side, kind of wind-blown hawthorn, no leaves on it, of course, at this time of year, and he points out across a bit of open ground, another landing ground, and there are very many more vessels there. Right,
Mm-hmm.
there are about 20. There are about 20 vessels. Looking to your
Cool.
left and your right, yeah, looking to your left and your right in the trees here, you reckon there must be almost 20, mate. If you include Fangbrand's crewmen, a couple of dozen Norwegians here hiding amongst the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And out between you and the vessels, there are fires that have been set, but these aren't fires to burn the tree, to burn the ships rather. These are more like guard fires between the trees and the ships, and you can see Englishmen standing at the guard fires.
Mm-hmm. Um, and I would turn to our new friend and ask, "Is there a plan?"
Yeah, is there a plan? So this guy is called Ingfast. And Ingfast is a sailor. Um, and the best Ingfast can do for a plan is, he says, um, we kill some Englishmen and take a ship. With you and your friends, we have enough to sail one.
And I look, I probably can't see many people, but is it all sailors or are there any soldiers here?
Yeah, it looks like there are amongst the 2 dozen. These guys have managed to gather up some men who are obviously in the same position as you. So there are probably 4 soldiers who were probably at Stamford Bridge, and all the rest are sailors who were in the same position as Thangbrand, basically, but have gathered here with some odds and sods of weapons, and come up with this plan.
Yep. Um, I'd 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 look at like I'd look and motion towards Thangbrand's crew
Yeah.
and ask our new friend Ingfast if there's any more weapons.
Yeah, Ingfast. Hold on, let me roll. Uh, Ingfast shakes his head and says, "We take some from the first English at the first fire."
Mm-hmm. Um, and is there anything like club worthy or anything? I mean, Thangbrand's crew is probably looking for a weapon at this point of any ilk,
They
right?
they they probably are looking around. Yeah, I mean, they can pick up some bits of rotten wood to use as clubs, right, from the woodland floor. But if at the moment they start breaking anything or cutting anything, it's going to make a hell of a noise.
Yeah, totally. So it'd be like wood, rocks, whatever is, yeah, whatever they can grab onto. But these guys are
Yeah.
used to just beating the shit out of people with their hands, probably. Um,
They're not afraid, but you know, when you look down the line of probably 4 guard fires, um, there's probably 20 Englishmen out there,
mm-hmm,
shield and spear armed.
mm-hmm. And so are we looking? Are we kind of situated in almost like a gauntlet style vibe? Like we'll have to bop our way through 4 fires or whatever, or are we kind of in the middle of it?
Yeah, really good question, Brian. No, I think that what you got is maybe 4 or 5 ships which are um like prow in, nose in, and they're together. And then there's another 4 or 5 and another 4 or 5. So there's like 4 or 5 clusters of ships. And by each cluster of ships, they're close, right? But by each
Mm-hmm.
cluster of ships, there's a guard fire. So I think we can say 4 big fires with 5 Englishmen at each, and you're at one end of that line of ships and fires. So reaching the first ship in the line of 20, you would only have to get past 1 fire. Then you'd have to get onto the ship and obviously keep it, right? And free it.
Mm-hmm. Um. Yeah. Damn. We need a. And like, I'm looking at these guys. Everyone looks as shitty as I am, right? Like, no one. There's no fresh people
Well,
here.
so the good thing about being in the dark is you can't see how shitty they look, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking for. I'm like, ooh, if we could get someone that's a runner to make a big noise one way, and while we're sneaking the other way, it might help. But um, these guys are guards. They're probably, you know.
I think that these guys are now looking to you. Um, it may not be a responsibility that Jens wants, but they're probably looking to you to come up with something better than their rush. Literally, they were thinking our only chance. They've probably seen like places like the fires that Thangbrand's cruise ships, had.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen worse, and they're thinking, right, this is our one chance. But their plan stretched to, we just got to rush that first boat. So you've got the water's edge with reeds and rushes, and the ships come right into that. Although the reeds and the rushes have obviously been flattened down with the landing of lots of men here. And then you've got these 4 fires with 5 guards around each. The guards look to have brought, they got food, they got stuff with them, but they haven't set up tents or anything. They don't look like they're going to be getting going to sleep. Maybe they're waiting for someone to come in the morning or something like that, but they don't look like they're getting ready to 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 bed down for the night.
Mm. Mm. Um. So, am I thinking correctly that there doesn't appear to be a way to sneak to the boats, right? Like they've got them pretty much well guarded. The fire is giving
So
enough light.
yeah, so you could probably, the best way to sneak to that first ship would be get wet and muddy and go right along the water's edge. Then you could almost get to the prow of that ship without much firelight falling on you at all. I'm not saying it would be easy, but that would be the sneaky route, either through the water or right at the water's edge.
Yeah, and I think that would be the. It just makes more sense to Jens and or me. Let's get to the boat and defend the boat, right? Like, um, cause let them come to us, kind of thing, I suppose.
Yep, yep.
While the sailors, without like sailors without weapons, you're on boat team, right? Like, get on that boat, get it ready to go. Do the thing you
Yeah.
do, right? Like, that's
So
cool.
I think, yeah.
Soldiers, we are going to soldier, and we'll give you time as much as we can, but then let's fucking go.
Nice. So is the plan for both soldiers and sailors to get on the ship, or is it just sailors getting on the ship and getting it ready, and you guys kind of being on the land?
Yeah,
What's the actual order of?
I think I would say anyone with a weapon, we're ground team. Sailors without a weapon, your boat team. We both have a job to
Right.
do, right? Like,
And do you want the boat team to sneak on board first?
that'd be ideal. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah, with like a couple soldiers that it's just like who can be quietest, right? Like, let's be quiet. But be able to, because it's going to, like there's a certain amount of time. I imagine the boats, right? Like there's some distance between us and all the soldiers. They're all spread out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool. The fire, right? Like the fire is brightest. Like they're going to have to get away from the fire and go to the noise probably, to see what's going on, right? Like the fire's, it's night and all you can see is right around the fire probably, right? Like if there's,
Yeah, totally. You become totally night blind when you're standing around a guard fire, right?
yeah, yeah. But so there's that. I mean, the other possibility is to create some sort of noise, or part of me is like the last man lights the tree on fire or something, and a slight diversion, but that might also pull them all our way, which is not what we want.
Yeah, and also setting fire to a tree in England in October is as close to impossible as
Exactly. Yeah, so
you can
that's no
imagine.
good. And like, don't really want to leave anyone behind. Jens is not going to volunteer willingly. He does not want to volunteer to be the noisemaker on the other side to drive him the other
Okay.
way.
So is the plan? I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. So the sailors without weapons are going to sneak along the water's edge and try and board the ship unnoticed.
Yep.
And then a certain number of men are going to put themselves between that first fire and the ship whilst she is made ready to sail.
Exactly.
Okay. And then at some point, you sound the retreat and you get on board and hopefully you sail away.
Yeah, and I would ask Thengrin, like, uh, are you leading the boat team? And how much time do you need?
Yeah, Thangbrand can do that. He can set up the oars, and they'll try and do that quietly. What he says is, "Give us, give us until it looks like they've heard us, and then hit them hard. Because at that point, you hit them hard, and then you come straight on board, and we'll be ready to go. God
Okay,
willing."
done. So that's the plan.
Okay.
Those guys sneak on.
Yeah.
We're right behind them and basically walk onto the beach or the landing,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
as
It's
quietly as we
imagine
can.
Yeah, imagine an area that would have been mostly tall reeds, like as we were talking about last time, cattails, bulrushes,
Mm-hmm.
um, or reed mace, but all flattened after the traffic of the landing and so on. So you're talking about kind of ankle or knee high, broken down and trodden in foliage, basically. Once you get up
Mm-hmm.
from the water's edge. Cool. Well, it sounds like this is Yen's plan, so I think you should roll to see how it goes, and we'll talk it through.
3.
Fucking hell, Brian. Okay. So I think we can say safely with that roll that Thangbrand and the sailors get very wet and muddy, but they crawl along the water's edge. And from where you are, from your hiding place, you see their dark shapes go over the side of the ship. And I think, they busy themselves on board, and it seems like time slows for Jens and the other armed men waiting in the trees. And
Yeah.
there
So
comes a point. Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
on.
No, you go. Like
I was going to say,
you go.
okay. I was going to say there comes a point where the limits of three swords mean that there will be the sound of oars being put into their wooden whatever they're called, the things that hold oars. I forget what they're called, but where the oars go out into the water, and there will be sounds of the oars being made ready, and that's the moment when the Englishmen realise that the ship has been taken, if you like, and they turn, and that's the moment Thangbrand said, "Give them hell."
Yeah,
So
so I was
yeah,
going to say we would have probably like I feel like soldiers, Jens included, would have some idea of right, like of the boundaries of where they can see. We've all stood
yeah,
around a fire, so it's like any of us with the soldiers, at least that are armed. I don't know if we have whatever we have. We're probably very quietly and slowly avoiding, snappy, noisy reeds and that sort of thing, and like
yeah,
inching up the right, like towards them. So
yeah.
we'd probably cut the distance so we could possibly just let them, and it probably would have said like let them come into the darkness to us. Let's not go into the light to them, right? Like let them come to us because
Nice,
they won't see us. They'll be blinded and we could take them.
cool. So
And so at some point we might even, right, like we wouldn't want to be super loud. Like Jens wouldn't want to give away anything right to everyone, but he might be close enough to be like, might even say like, pretty girl, right? Like from the
so I
darkness.
think brilliant. So I think you get to the point where you are between them and the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear Thangbrand's crewmen and some others untying, unlashing the ship from the ships it's
Mm-hmm.
lashed to, and then the Englishmen look at the ship, and they don't look at you because you've positioned yourselves very well, but they do run into the darkness towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of the way you've set it up, the first couple of Englishmen fall to spear thrusts before they even know they're in a fight.
Yeah, totally.
But you are what, eight men plus you are the well armed ones, standing between nearly 20 Englishmen who got to come from some distance,
Mm-hmm.
and the ship. And of course, Thangbrand is I think as this engagement starts, Thangbrand is already, he just shouts, right? He just says, "Now, now, get on board now." And the
Mm-hmm.
ship starts to drift into the current of the estuary. But the fight is going to have to take place in those moments, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So yeah, I mean, I think a couple of, you hear swords drawn, English, most of the Englishmen are spearmen. You hear swords drawn, and I think a couple of Englishmen come running straight at Jens, determined to stop, the armed men and the armored and armed men who are on the shore getting to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about what Jens's own personal battle looks like in this situation.
Yeah, so he's going to stick to his own plan and let them come to him. They probably can't still see him, but if
Not
anyone
too
that
well,
comes,
yeah.
yeah, if they get too close, he might even he'll chance going into the light a little bit and just stab the shit out of them if he can. Like if there's right,
Nice.
like it depends. He's just going to use the darkness and the fire to his advantage, and hope he rolls really well.
Okay, so the question here, I mean, you can avoid a roll, obviously. You can give us a dark secret. You could go out in a blaze of glory. You could be taken out, um, or you can offer us a devil's bargain, or you can have a roll.
I'm gonna roll. Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
see. Because I'm
Cool.
curious. Because we're kind of at a stalemate right now, right? Like I have the advantage I can have. They have the advantage. They have.
Definitely.
Ooh, I rolled a 4.
Okay, so we're back to Devil's Bargain. I think
Yeah, we are.
I think that sounds right. So you weren't just rolling for Jens. We'll say you're rolling for the men around you who are fighting as well.
Mm-hmm.
This one ship that Fangbrand's crew and the other crewmen and the other sailors are on has, in the way a ship does, right? It's come to life. It's not tied to other ships or to the land now. It's starting to move. It's starting to move, and there's your time pressure. And we're looking for a Devil's Bargain. So you give me either the positive or the negative, and I'll give you the other.
I think the positive is.
Well, this is just for the battle, Brian. Just for the fight.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have. Yeah.
I think either Jens. I think we just decimate the first. The people at the English at the first bonfire. Right.
Nice. So that's the positive. That's the positive.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. So. Okay. So what's the negative?
Okay. So I think the negative will be that in the way of things, a couple of the Norwegians fall. And I think that along with that cost, Jens is now effectively double fatigued or exhausted.
Yeah.
So you're not quite on your knees. You could defend yourself, but man, you want to be on that boat.
Yeah. So yeah, so you say a couple of the guys were killed? Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, effectively they go down into the darkness, and there's moaning all around, and I think more English are rushing towards you, but they've not reached you yet because you took.
Yeah.
We take it out all the English at the first fire.
And I probably almost fall onto the closest man to me, and I say, let's go, flee. But I need help. I might need your help.
Okay. So you give the signal. Fangbrand is still shouting, now, we've got to go now. And you hear the first kind of oars slap on the water. And I think this may be the deciding test for Jens to be on the boat and away. And I think there's a roll. So there are enough of you to help one another. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would think that we would kind of cluster as a group, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, yes. The 3. I'm just rolling threes tonight.
Just on fire.
Yeah, so I think I can lean on one of the guys, right? Like, and they're all pretty excited. Like the plan seems to be working so well. Yeah, we probably just like just like we're probably finding that inner strength, right? Like, fuck it, we're on the right. This is the last mile. We got this. Let's go, right? And like, nice. It just executed well, and we were lucky. And the it's I can see where the English are like, I heard some yelling, from the far bonfires, and they're all like, well, what should be, a couple of them are running after us probably, but not. They're probably like, well, come on. And like everyone, there's some confusion on their ranks, probably just enough for us to get the fuck out of here.
Totally. So the worst pain Jens gets is probably collapsing onto the deck when he's on board.
Yeah, totally.
And someone's pushed him up and over, and then they flop down next to him. and Thangbrand is already giving orders to row, and he stopped shouting now, and now he's shouting row, row, and the ship pulls out into the midstream of the estuary, and I think maybe a couple of arrows just follow and fall onto the deck or hit the side of the ship, but the English know the chances of doing very much at this distance in the middle of the night like that is minimal, and only a couple of them have got bows anyway. And you're away. It takes a little while for the shock to recede and the relief to kick in, and there's some cheering, I guess.
And Jens is probably he's probably like hanging on to he's propped himself up against the boat and is just like got his head in one arm over the thing, just like watching, waiting to see. But everyone's probably pretty excited.
Yep. I imagine everyone is really excited to be getting underway. The crew is a bit short, and I would guess Jens probably isn't the only exhausted person aboard. But you are going with the flow, right? You're going downstream towards the sea.
Yeah, cool. I mean, he would help row if he can, for sure. I'm not sure how much he's going to help or if he's going to fuck it up. So but yeah, he would just be like, he would say this to Thangbrand and just Thangbrand, say like, I'll help as much as I can, but make me stop if I'm hurting, right? Like, just tell him, but basically, this is your job now. Like, you know what you're doing. You tell me what to do.
Yeah, I think you are. We've said you're exhausted, so I think probably Jens crawls to a rowing bench, grabs an oar, and then wakes up at dawn, probably having pulled one stroke and just
totally.
Yeah. They've pulled him off the bench and just laid him down on the deck. And there's a couple of others. And I think Thangbrand just steers with the tide.
Mm-hmm.
I think the voyage starts with a problem, which is that the English had taken off some of the provisions, and that you needed water. Thangbrand has taken on water from a little estuary side hamlet where they spoke Norse,
Mm-hmm.
and set sail. There's a little bit of discussion about whether you should go straight across to Norway or whether you should try to make landfall at Scarborough and take on provisions for the voyage. Does Jens can go down to just fatigues now, by the way, because he has rested a little bit. Does Jens have any thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, well, he would definitely tell him that he heard from good source that that Scarborough is our kind of town, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
That maybe that's the best. Maybe we could be fully provisioned if, like, he's probably has some experience with sailing, but as a passenger more than an actual sailor. So he'd say, but he does know how much he likes to eat, and like he would have some idea of probably provisions, right? Like, so if we're short on provisions, that's the way to do it, is to risk that. Nice. Because worst case scenario was we're not going home, we're staying in Scarborough. I guess maybe we're captured there, but we could also, find some friends.
Nice. So I think, I suspect that in early medieval Norway, most people sailed to some extent or another because of all the fields, right? I mean, they were probably
totally. Sure.
So Thangbrand goes for the Scarborough option. It's in Scarborough, I think, that you learn that more or less. I mean, you probably won't know fully the story until you get back to Norway, but it's in Scarborough that you get the impression that where Hardrada came with 300 ships, the survivors left England in 25 ships. So your ship becomes one of those 25. So that's about 6,000 men came and about 500 men got to leave. There's some talk that some of them may have gone up into the Dales. They may have headed west instead of east, because up in the Dales, apparently, there are other Anglo-Norse people. But certainly Thangbrand and the crew you're sailing with wave the harbour at Scarborough a fond farewell. They're happy to leave and not to have been found there by any of the Earl's men, and to have taken on provisions. And I mean, I don't want to let you get home without one more roll to see how the crossing goes over the next few days. The North Sea in October. Let's just do a hazard roll.
That's a 6.
Yeah. Do you know what a 6 is on the hazard roll? A 6 on the hazard roll is okay. It's advantage. So no. So no bad weather gets in the way of Thangbrand's crew, and I think by the time Jens arrives a couple of days later, because of making the call to go to Scarborough and provision, he's not really even hungry. He may still be fatigued from the rowing, as you would naturally from a crossing, but he gets back to Norway, to a country, I suppose, with those kind of losses, in a degree of mourning, and mourning for the loss of Hardrada. Apart from the men who were never fond of Hardrada and who were probably celebrating the king's death rather than mourning it.
How long does it take for that crossing, do you think?
Well, so the crossing can be done over the North Sea in a longship in as little as a few days, right? Okay. If in the summer you can make that crossing in a longship, because people have done it. I mean, experimental archaeologists have done it in reconstructions of longships in less than 2 days. Yeah, but I think probably in October we could easily double that, right? And say it probably takes you 4 or 5 days to get across.
And so the word of Hastings is probably still a few days off or a week off.
That's right, yeah. No news of what's happened. I think if you imagine landing in a town in medieval Norway, there would already be news there of Duke William putting an army together to invade England. But no more news than that. And we can leave,
and they'd be looking to us for info too, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, just your tales would secure enough ale to drink for weeks and weeks until the winter comes. Yeah. And I think it's probably when the winter comes that you would hear of the death of Harold Godwinson, and the coronation of William you wouldn't hear about until the following spring, probably. You know, he was in London at Christmas time, so yeah, we can leave Jens telling tales and drinking ale, having escaped from England with a lot of good luck, really, I should say.
that was a lot of good luck.
Yeah. But also good planning. I mean, also good planning, and I really enjoyed that. That was a super well executed escape, Brian. Yeah,
it was cool. I mean, you know, I am certainly not a war gamer or strategist, but sensibility, you know, and I'm assuming Jens was a soldier, right? Like, probably not a great strategist either, or he'd have a higher rank probably. But
right. I mean, I had, when I set that up, I had no idea which way you were going to head, because my presumption was that you might head up into the hills, right? But I thought the way you headed back towards the ships was really interesting, because I'm frankly, and someone may, I guess, listen to this and know more than I do, but frankly, I'm the only bit of that story that I know is that 25, they said 25 ships left. But as to what exactly was happening with the other ships, so I was really pleased with the way it turned out. And I hope we didn't do too much violence to, well, I hope that our Northumbria in 1066 wasn't too dissimilar to Northumbria in the real 1066. But I thought your play of Jens was really interesting. And it would have been dangerous if you hadn't kept rolling such good bloody dice.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the beauty of named works really well in this. Because he was either going to be a hero or or someone that didn't make it back. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Right? And you would have needed a lot of luck to be the hero, right? Like a lot of luck. So it's kind of cool.
Well, given that you were one of 500 from an army of 6,000. Yeah, very much so. And I guess the only thing that remains for Jens is whether he takes Halfred Botolfsson's message to his father.
Oh yeah, he would totally do that for sure.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
I mean, that's classic soldier, right? Like you got to go do that thing. Because you said you would, and someone would do it for you. So for sure you would do that. I mean, the whole thing is cool because I really like it because it's kind of an escape scenario, right? Like in a really cool way. So this was a great game. Nice job there, Paula.
Well played. Yeah, it was an escape scenario, and that was the intention. And it turned out okay. Very simple scenario, and I just ran it using some tables that I put together and relying on your wit, and it all turned out quite well, I thought. So yeah. I don't know whether reflection. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. Reflections. I mean, that's the reflection, right? Yeah. Like my reflection is like I really like the duet play, the simple stuff where you can. It's more like what are they thinking? It's just more detailed and more interesting to me. Right, like a lot more zoom in. It wouldn't be bad with another person, I don't think. Right, like you could do a trio probably, but like more than that, and then you're just on a normal campaign almost. It just seems like to me.
Yeah. Well, we should try it. We could always go back to it.
Huh? I think I know Whitebread's into it. So we could do it that way too. That'd be fun.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. We should talk about that.
I just like. Yeah. I really like the. Yeah, it becomes almost less game-like, but not really. It's just more intense. Like, like the whole boat. Having to. When it's just you, it's like fuck. I better not fuck this up, right? Like, or all these people are gonna die, or I'm gonna die. And it does make you a little tense, and it just really kind of cranks up the anxiety a little bit, which is really fun.
Yeah. I agree with you there, and I like the way that with this resolution system, the resolution system sort of, as you say, it seems to raise the stakes, but also it's not technical or heavy, so it sort of gets out of the way of the story quite quickly.
It's definitely better than other systems that like and anything that has too much complexity, especially in these things, right? Like even when we were doing your record one, it's just like we don't really need much. It's kind of like so even if it was if I was using kind of my system, and it's like if you have the ability to get help, you can that person or other character can help you, and you can share the fate. And so that's kind of cool. Yeah. But I do like name because it is more like it does lend itself well to this because it's kind of like little steps here and there, right? Like, well, we're gonna do this. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, well, then it's just like steps along with the story, right? Like I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Are we going with doesn't like dogs possibly Jens's new name.
Definitely. Cat dad. Yeah, he's gonna have cats forever. Like, not a fan of the dogs.
Nice. Cats on his
Although,
farm in Norway.
I mean, he did. Maybe he is a dog lover because he did use that second dog to great effect, right? Like,
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. That dog sort of saved his life in a strange way.
Well, that was the best part of Jens was that's where I think the insightful came in. I was trying to play into that. I was like, cool, insightful. Like he had I would say his new name is Lucky. Like Lucky Motherfucker might be like his new name, right? Like, but like him using because he was lucky to hear the learn pretty girl the English saying to kind of give him a little bit of it probably made the English people think when they heard English they're like with a horrible accent almost certainly, right? Like cool. But like that, then the dog, it's just like, oh, if this dog bites me, it might save my life, right? Like these people might instantly be cool to me, and it just happens that they were.
It all actually went, really smoothly. He couldn't have asked for much else. I mean, yeah. So he was lucky, and I guess he would feel lucky having just been helped onto that ship in the dark and getting away. It's as you say, you've got to be, you're one of the lucky ones. So that would make sense. And he could certainly lean in. That's a name that could be lent into in later life, isn't it? Jens the Lucky, definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, nobody wouldn't think that of him. That's definitely the name he has, his luck.
Totally.
Lucky Jens, right? Like
yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's a good one. Hey man, thanks for playing. I really loved it, and we'll have to set up another one soon.
Absolutely, let's do it. Cool, man. Thanks for running. Nice. This was awesome.
No, I enjoyed it very much, Brian. It's a pleasure to play with you, mate. We'll what should we do? Chat soon about another one?
Yeah, let's do it.